now.
All right, we're
at
live.
6'2" from Puerto Rico.
I hope we're live.
All my R's.
I hope we're live.
And now at 5'3", hailing from Guadalajara, Mexico.
Oh my god,
That's good.
There's actually a Guadalajara song. Let me see if I can find it.
dude. That
we need intro music for our
that
people.
mustache is. I mean, I'm actually jealous. The Tom's. I mean, you got. I think Tom Selleck. You put Tom Selleck to shame.
Brad, you got a good look right there, Brad. I mean, you just got to let that go for like a month. Just shave the beard and let the stash go, brother. It's the 2020 Corona stash, man. Join the club.
Listen, I had the Fu Manchu back in the Joe Flacco days.
Absolutely. You know, I think I saw a photo of that, man. I liked it.
Can I give him his introduction already? Are we live or what?
We're live. We're live. We got 4 people.
All right, and now the reigning Barcast guest from Guadalajara, Mexico.
What is that, a speaker?
5'0", 100 and nothing. Brad Dupstadt.
Is that what kind of speaker is that?
It's a jam box. Jam box.
It looks like a surge protector.
Is that perfect?
That was good. I want my little mariachi band behind me.
You should, yeah.
Sombrero, sir.
I still got my trumpet. I should come up there and Christian will have his guitar. I'll just be playing. We'll have our sombreros.
One thing that never leaves Brad is that bass. He's bringing the bass.
Yeah, I know we have to differentiate the Brads.
Dubstat.
You might want to call me something different tonight.
Oh, that's what she said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, get kinky.
All right, so I guess we should introduce everybody. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Barcast, the happy hour. I decided we're just going to call it the happy hour because forget what Christian thinks or wants. I decided to take the initiative and do this, or name this the happy hour. I thought it was appropriate considering we're all just at home and not doing much of anything. So we're going to start doing this. We're hoping to just keep it consistent on Thursdays, at least until we're allowed back out of our homes. And if you guys we're committed to Thursdays.
Yes.
So you might not recognize our guest, but we've had him here on the show before. We have our very own Brad Dupstadt. What's up, Brad?
What's going on, fellas? It's not Halloween yet?
You have to explain the reasoning for the mustache now.
Yeah, so a buddy of mine, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, maybe like when this whole thing started, like the first lockdown, he's in upstate Albany, New York. So I think they were the first state to kind of shut things down. A couple of his trainers at one of his gyms just started growing a mustache like the very first week, and we're calling it the Corona stash. So I jumped on. I was like, I'll join this club, and here I am. About, I don't know, a month later, I'm rocking a stash.
It's so random.
I was like, I'll join. Yeah. It's not my best look, but I committed to it, so we're gonna roll with it.
Battery is about 90%.
Oh, okay, all right.
Sorry, guys, I'm a mess over here.
You are a mess over there.
And I'd like to introduce myself, Christian Castro, but you know me as Cash here. Thank you for tuning in. So the Barcast is really about the journey of entrepreneurship, where we like to bring people on. And, selfishly, it's for us to connect with other entrepreneurs because, it's a lonely journey. Own the Chaos is a crazy and chaotic world. Barcast is a lonely journey. And so it's apt that we have Brad on. Last time, if you remember, we have Dupstadt on. Okay, so this is Dupstadt, our guest. Brad, you are the host. Brad, if you remember that Dupstadt was actually about to transition back into the corporate world. He was going to keep his company. And so since then, he's transitioned. So sort of in line with what we talk about and the journey, this is just another step along his journey. So I was hoping we dig into that a little bit because I think there's a lot of insightful conversation we can have on that. But before we get into that, Brad Dupstadt, God, this is going to be hard for me. Do you want to kind of tell us about your business, where it's at, and what's been going on since we spoke last?
Yeah, so I think it was maybe October, November-ish, maybe when we were on.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, what is that? Not quite 6 months, give or take, somewhere in there.
Can't believe it's been that long already.
I know time flies, man. Time flies. I am back into, I won't call it corporate world per se. For me, in my history, it's public sector, it's state government. Um, Pros and cons to it. There's certainly pros and cons to it. It's been good for my bills to get paid for sure. But it's obviously my company Alchemy Fit has taken a back seat just due to time constraints, really. I would love to spend more time on it. And some of that's an excuse. I mean, if I'm being perfectly, completely honest, some of it's an excuse. I just haven't prioritized it. So, in a nutshell, things got really busy for me. The last 6 months were just pure chaos, really. I mean, trying to keep clients happy at the gym, trying to keep nutrition clients, happy online, and making sure that I was keeping all my touch points and still delivering the product and service that I felt was, you know, that I know I can and that I know I want to be in contact with all my people while trying to work full time and trying to coach my son's basketball team, through the winter months. This time of year right now is technically usually the most busy for me. My son's in baseball, so trying to coach two baseball teams and all of that usually is April and May are just usually I'm ready to jump off the bridge. But the virus obviously gave me some opportunities to really analyze some things, and so I'm trying to use it to the best of my advantage. So when we come out of this, Alchemy Fit is further along than what it would have been had the coronavirus not happened.
So, I guess, yeah, I mean, that's, I think we talked about this with Chuck last week. It's like when we're sitting around not able to do much, it kind of allows us to slow down and kind of reflect and figure out what we want to do once we're allowed back out again. So, I think that's something that everybody's kind of thinking about. And so I think what I would like to just kind of, for the audience, just kind of recap real quick what Alchemy Fit actually does. So, like, you work at a gym right now, is that right?
Yeah. So it's a gym I have access to. It's a guy I know from years ago when I was a collegiate athlete. So I do trainings. I do some one-on-one trainings, not a whole lot, but it's mostly group trainings, small groups, anywhere from 2 to 7, 8 people at a time. Maybe a total of 7, 8, 9 hours a week. And then the majority of my business is, or mostly what I concentrate on, like to focus on, is nutrition. Probably about 4 or 5 years ago, give or take, I really got into nutrition. Myself, started taking it seriously, and enjoy working with clients from a nutrition perspective, just because the results on the nutrition side. I mean, granted, I want everyone to work out and be active. I think your body wants to be active, and the benefits of being physically active are, tremendous. But the nutrition is just tenfold what you could ever do in the gym just trying to work out. And so, online coaching with clients through nutrition, macronutrients specifically, just guiding them and holding them accountable on a daily basis.
That's awesome. What are you smirking
And
at?
I'm not only a spokesperson, but I'm a client.
Yeah, I mean, people always say that you can't work yourself out of, eating terribly, right? I mean, it goes hand in hand. You can't just keep working out and eating like crap.
It's so true. I mean, I have clients, Brad. I have clients now that frankly don't work out. I mean, I'm trying to get them to walk, 20 minutes a day, and they're pushing back on that, which to each their own. Trying to fit that in, but I'll continue to push because I feel it's important. But they're still getting results, and I just feel like so many people just helplessly go throughout their day not even thinking about what they're putting in their mouth. What are they shoving down their throat? And just me personally knowing how much better you can feel, not even look, just how much more energy you have and how you feel by eating better. So I just think nutrition's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. How many, what does that say? Somebody's asking Christian.
Yeah. So it's a Puerto Rican plantain. So totones are a delight, and I'm perfecting my totone skills. Dish of the motherland. So she's Throwing out an inside joke.
Oh, okay.
But Brad, I know you can't see. Dubstadt, I know you can't see the comments. My Kristen said your mustache is on fleek, which is what the kids are saying these days.
Holy fleek! Wow, am I that old that I don't know what that means? Is that?
It's a made-up word.
Actually, it's like kind of that's past two. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, you missed it.
Yeah. That's all right. I'm okay with that.
So I'm setting up for later. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm grinning. Number one, I can't stop being distracted by that damn mustache, which is strong. Number two, I'm like working out my toast. I had a toast coming in, and then as you're talking, I have another toast. I can't wait. I just want this to be over so I can give up my toast because it's going to crush, baby.
That's good because I literally thought of one about 5 minutes ago. So it's off the top of my head. It's not going to be pretty, but we'll go with it.
Well, it is happy hour. I'm actually drinking my Jack and Coke. What's anybody else
Funny you should mention that.
Anyone see?
Somebody's got that's
1 liter bottle of water.
We'll call it vodka. That works.
Yeah.
You could have fibbed it a little bit.
I mean, I do have a small single hitter of tequila over there. I can go grab it.
Yeah, Alan's a real man. He drinks beer. Shout out to Alan.
That's right. What's up, Alan?
We'll get to why I can't do the shot tonight. We'll get to that in a little.
Well, no, we'll get to it right now because I don't know if you noticed, Brad, but he's double fisting it. In one hand, he has water, and because he's a nutrition coach, I don't know if you noticed, but he was drinking a smoothie in the other hand.
That I am. I needed something before dinner. This timing's a little. Dinner time's right about now, and I don't want to get too hangry and throw my laptop.
And this is why I love him as a coach, is because he's unconventional. Everybody does macros, right? Like everybody's a macro coach, but him, you probably never seen that before. That was a breast milkshake. Has all the nutrients.
Nothing beats mama's milk.
Oh my god.
Oh,
that was good.
That's hilarious.
So yes, actually neither one of us are drinking. What's going on?
I guess that makes two of you asses.
Yeah. No, you want me to tell the story?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So I don't know. What was it? Maybe late February? You sent me something and said, hey, what do you think of this? You want to do it? And it was Andy Frisella's 75 Hard program. If anyone that isn't familiar with the 75 Hard program is, take a look at it. But essentially the 75 Hard program, I'll give you a quick guideline, is 2 workouts a day, 2 45-minute workouts a day, one morning, one evening, and one of them must be outside for 45 minutes. Doesn't matter what you're doing, just must be outside. You can go out and stretch in your yard if you want, walk the block, play basketball, whatever, but you have to be outside for one of them. So 2 workouts a day. You must physically read 10 pages out of any book that you want, whether it be a self-help book, a spiritual book, something to just better yourself, some type of just an educational book. It can't be nonfiction or fiction. Must be following some type of diet plan, whether it be macros, whether it be paleo, keto, whether it just be whatever. But with that, there's no cheating. So there's not supposed to be any sweets, not supposed to be, no cheating. 75 days, 75 hard. This program is 75 days. And then lastly, drink 4 liters of water, a gallon of water a day. So it's roughly 4 liters of water a day. So that's the program in a nutshell. It's 75 days of that. So he sends this to me in late February. I look at it and I'm like, that looks legit. There's no way in hell I'm doing it though. It's late February here in Pennsylvania. It's 20 degrees sometimes, chance of snow. I'm like, I know I'm not committing to something I won't do. And I was like, if it snows, I'm not going outside. I hate the cold weather. I hate snow. I'm not doing it. And then I don't know, March hit, kind of warmed up. I was like, we might not have snow. Coronavirus is here. I'm like, let's do it. So I jumped in, was 2 weeks in, and had some ice cream, had some popcorn one night, and said, got to hold myself accountable. I wasn't over my calories for the day, but I was like, you know what? I can't in all good consciousness say that I'm following this or doing this. This is a 75 hard program, not a 75 soft, not a 75 kind of, not a 75 whatever. I got to start over. So I am on day 10 or 11 of starting over again. But I'm feeling good. I feel good. If I'm being completely honest, I'm no different than any other client that I coach when it comes to nutrition. I love sugar. I love sweets. I do. I will eat sweets, cookies, ice cream, whatever. So when I recommitted to this 2 weeks ago, Sunday was kind of my last day off again before I started this back up. So I'm dating a girl who loves cooking, and we had all kinds of, desserts, whatever. I hate to admit this, but I'll tell the truth. I ate so much on Easter Sunday that I actually got sick. Monday morning at 2 a.m. was throwing up from food. From food. I'm no better than half my clients. Like I said, I like sugar.
He projectile vomited.
I did. I was that sick from what I ate.
Oh my God.
Sunday. And so I've been steadfast since that Monday morning, but it was like a bad hangover. You wake up from a bad hangover, throw up, and you're like, I'm never drinking again. I'm never eating sugar again. I'm never having cake again. We'll see how long it lasts, but I'm trying to do the 75 days. It's more of a mental challenge than it is physical. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm not drinking because there's no alcohol for 75 days.
And I'm participating in with him. I went 30 days strong, and I slipped up breast milk, and I slipped up yesterday. So now I have to start over day one. So today's technically day one, but I could drink the old vino and just start day one tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true.
But I digress.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, what's so? Is it just something that whoever came up with it just came up with it, or is it like some actual reason behind it? What's the motivation?
So I think the part of it is, I mean, I don't know Andy Frisella. I mean, he's extremely successful from what I have read about him. I think he's got several companies. I think he started off with a some type of sports company like protein. I don't know. I should have read more about the guy, but I get his daily emails. They're fire. A lot of his stuff's fire. It's very motivational, very inspiring. I like the guy. I'd love to meet him someday. I should know more about him. I don't, but the program is fantastic. For me, it's been great having the time and making the time to get back to reading again. I've been doing audibles since my divorce that I talked about the last time I was on, and just trying to constantly improve and get better and be a better version of myself. And it got me back into reading. And so I thoroughly enjoy getting up every morning. I look forward to my cup of coffee, and I sit down and I read first thing in the morning, and really enjoy that. So for me, it's structure. And then just, again, working out. I feel good working out. I love working out. That's not ever an issue, but getting a second one in a day and making it more aerobic for me has been huge. For me, I'm not a runner. I don't do a lot of aerobic activity. I like lifting the weights, but in the last month and a half, I haven't felt this good in a long time. I haven't had this much energy in a long time.
That's awesome.
Let's talk a little bit about the mental side, and Brad, I'm surprised you haven't heard of Andy Frisella.
I didn't until you sent that to me. I had no clue who he was.
Yeah, and then you, Brad?
No. By the way, I just want to interject here. Alan has a fantastic workout plan. He says he works out 12 ounces at a time.
Hey, having a plan and executing your plan is where you need to be.
I tell you what, there's nobody more committed to working 12 ounces at a time than Alan.
I believe that. He's committed.
He really is.
No, check out you would love Andy Frisella. He's MF CEO project. But anyways, so I want to talk a little bit about mindset and Brad, Dupstadt. Damn,
we plan this very well.
Dupstadt, you and I talk about this a lot, and we talk about the idea of mindset, and that you make you overhaul these changes. You make these overhauling changes throughout your life, and then you get to a point where you're like tightening the screws, and then I think it just gets to a point where like the mind is like the last thing you're trying to conquer, and it's really challenging. I know it sounds cliche, but it really is true. Like, what's best for you. right? In you as a coach, I would argue the stakes are even higher because you're doing nutrition coaching and you're out here binging on junk food. So I'd imagine it's kind of hard to reconcile that in some ways. But talk a little bit about mindset, because we've had some in-depth conversations, not only about sugar as a drug, but we've talked about also really trying to reframe your mindset as you struggled with going back to a job that you weren't passionate about and facing that struggle on something that, like, you just have to go into the job. It wasn't even like you had a ton of work at the time. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, I'll speak to both of those points. So starting out from the sugar perspective is, I'm really getting sick, and going through what I did Easter Sunday really put things into perspective for me. And you're right, reconciling that, like, I'm trying to coach people that have similar issues. So I use it for me, and like, I'm no different than anybody else. There's nothing special about me, And so, but recognizing, like, yeah, I got an issue with sugar. I've joked around for years calling sugar crack cocaine for me. I've joked around for years saying, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I very rarely try drugs, but sugar is my crack. Not until now am I really actually taking that seriously and saying, you know what, sugar is my crack. And so I'm using right now, trying to use auto suggestion mentally in my head. Every morning I get up, I am looking at the mirror and I'm saying to myself, sugar is a drug. And I'm telling myself that every morning. I say it 5 times out loud, looking dead in the mirror. I need my mind to change to understand that really is that way. And it's not, if I want to be something and I want to get past that part mentally, I've got to believe it. And so I think, like you said, for me, I understand that I need to be better because that's who I want to be and that's where I want to go. So that's a challenge, absolutely. From the job perspective, frankly, I'm still slow with my job. I started off there. It was slow getting on, just having work coming to me. Anyone that's worked in state government before can probably relate to that. I'm not saying everybody at the state, is a little slow at times, but it's a different pace for sure compared to corporate, my prior jobs. It was a struggle, and frankly, it's still a struggle when I had to go in and report to the office. I was just having a conversation with someone the other day that my biggest challenge is I don't like feeling like I am chained to a desk. I feel like I am still incarcerated. I mean, that's my best analogy with it. I feel like I have a ball and chain strapped to my ankle, sitting at a cubicle every day, and it drives me nuts. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to reconcile with that, because it's just not. I can't do that for the next 20 years. Retirement's great, pension's great, benefits are great, and everything, but I'm not guaranteed anything in 20 years. So going back to mindset is, I'm really starting to fully understand my entire life. I'm pretty conservative as far as risk. I'm not a risk taker. And I've always thought about retirement and planning for retirement. At the end of the day is, you're not guaranteed to get there. And even money you have that's in, it's not guaranteed to be there either. So, I started the 4-hour work week today, Audible. And one of the things, that was on there that really resonated with me first this morning, right off the bat, was, what if you knew now that you wouldn't be able to reach or obtain retirement? What would you do differently? And it was like, holy smokes, like, yeah, that's crazy. Like, you wouldn't do something for 20 years that you didn't enjoy doing and you weren't passionate about if you didn't think you were going to be able to reap benefits. So you're kind of rolling the dice. And I know it's a catch-22. Obviously you still want to plan, you want to be smart, and you want to set yourself up for, the future. But it's a challenge. It's definitely a mental challenge. And I feel like my mind over the last 2 years, what I've been through and where I'm at now, has started to change, and just my perception of my own personal reality and where I envision myself is changing, and it's in the process of changing. And the last thing I'll say, and then I'll shut up, is throughout the process, what I've also recognized is, this first couple of months, Christian, we were talking every other day or daily, on my way into work, and I was miserable going into work, parking in the parking garage, walking into work. Like, it was just, and the routine of it all again was like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. The people there are great, but I'm not passionate about the job. It pays my bills. But what I've recognized just over the last couple of weeks, and again, this goes back to reading every day and opening up my mind and thinking about things differently, is this is just part of the process. This is not the end result. And thinking of it that way, and thinking about, I'll look back at some point and laugh at this time period, I hope, is kind of what keeps me motivated and keeps me going.
That's awesome. Brad, were you gonna say something?
No, I was just listening to the to
So it is crazy, and I think we've all been there, where like the idea of like mastering your mind, man. That's it. Like you can, I'll like write something down. Like I know I'll go into a situation, I'll see the situation, I'll know how I typically would handle it. I'll tell myself how I want to handle it. Like, come on, Christian, you're better than that. Like you're gonna you're gonna handle it properly. And talking about business, and then I get in there and I can't help myself. And that's with anything, like whatever example you can give, where it's like, whether it's doing what's right for your health, whether it's doing what's right for your business or whatever. Like you can know the right things, but I mean, it's really the last great feat is about conquering the mental, man. That's what it's about.
Well, if I could just add to that too, I think you're 100% correct. And I think in daily conversations with a lot of people, I don't think, and tell me if I'm wrong, you guys obviously know people too, and I don't think enough of us are looking or thinking about that. I think people just kind of muddle through life and just go through the routine, and they don't think about, they don't think about what that looks like or how they can do that. And I think just being aware of it and then working towards it and understanding it's a process is that's where I'm at, and I feel good about where I'm at, because what I've fully adopted is there is no end to this. For years, I always thought that I was working towards something that was going to end, but what I've realized is it's not going to end. When I get there's just going to be something else.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with retirement. Like, what am I going to do? Okay, you're going to retire one day. I'm not the kind of person that's just going to sit around on my butt. No, there's going to be something else. So, really just understanding that and having it really, it's a complete shift in mindset. And I'm still trying to reconcile a lot of old thoughts and a lot of old behaviors and patterns, and figuring out how I'm going to move on from that, and then kind of what's next.
I love that. And I mean, speaking of what's next, and you kind of touched on this in the beginning of the show, was that, you were kind of making excuses about Alchemy Fit. And I kind of wanted to bring that back around about what did you say?
Call his bullshit?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not trying to be like a dick about it, but I'm just saying, like, to that end, I think, and Christian and I have talked about this, and we're just going to, bring it to the forefront here, though. I think the market's talking to you about Alchemy Fit, bro. I mean, like, I think that,
thank you.
With people that, we know that are involved in your program, and it's actually working for them, and the support that you're providing for them. Like, I think that to the points that you've been making about, like, I don't want to be in this rat race, or I feel like I'm incarcerated. Like, that's what you need to go after, because you love it. So, like, I kind of want you to speak on, and the reason that I'm bringing this up, Brad, is because you're not the outlier. Like you said, you're just like everybody else, and everybody else is going through the same problem, and that's just taking that leap. And I get it. There's kids, there's family, there's like all kinds of other stuff, but I think there's also taking care of you and doing things that you're passionate about and that what you want to do. So what is it that you think that's truly keeping you from, like, pushing yourself in that direction?
Let's get deep, baby.
No, that's a great question. Frankly, it's something I've been asking myself for the last month, maybe 2 months, as to why, Christian, I think we even talked about this a little bit, why am I not making it a priority? Like, trying to figure out in myself, is it that I don't want it bad enough?
Where's Chuck? We need Chuck on here too, daggone it.
Yeah.
Because we just talked about this, and he's actually, taking the leap too.
Is it that I don't want it bad enough? Is it that I'm seeking, is it just that I want to be comfortable, but then I want to complain about it when I'm not there? Like, what is, and I don't have an answer for you right now, because I'm still looking for that myself. I think if I'm being perfectly open and honest about it, when I looked at numbers for what the current model is, working with individuals on a one-on-one basis, I didn't think, I should say this, I still don't think that I can do enough volume to sustain myself to maintain my current lifestyle, which isn't lavish by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, but you haven't even promoted it that much, have you?
No, I haven't. No, you're absolutely. That's a, yeah. No, I haven't. I haven't. And it goes back to, I guess maybe a little bit fear.
I was just about to ask you if it was fear, because I think that's really what the root of the whole problem is.
Yeah, I think it's fear, and fear in that, not fear and failure. My biggest fear, and I think Christian will probably admit to this, is I can sit here and talk to you guys, no problems whatsoever. I'm a people person. I like being around people. But when it comes to actually physically putting myself out there, I struggle with that. I am not one, I don't like taking credit for anything. I mean, again, going back to as an athlete, any individual accolade I ever received, I didn't want it. I didn't want to be recognized for it. I just wanted to be a part of the team. I wanted the team to have success. And so
that's what Lamar Jackson says too, from one MVP to another.
but it's true. I honestly don't like, even if you look at, and Christian remembers, man, even my even just someone putting out workout videos on Instagram, I just don't like being on a camera. Like, just being on a camera and being out. Now, you put me in front of a room and talk to 30 people about nutrition and why you should do this, I get animated, I get fired up, and I enjoy that. But for whatever reason, I struggle and have a difficult time putting myself out there on my own. When given a platform, or, hey, come on the show and talk, I'll talk to you guys all day. I have no problem talking. Talking is not an issue. It's just kind of being open, I guess, and being willing to put it out there. And hearing myself say this, the other part of it is I need to treat Alchemy Fit like a business instead of treating it like a hobby.
Yeah.
Because I still treat it like a hobby. It's something I enjoy doing. I enjoy helping people. But I treat it like a hobby. And I think going back to, again, another comment or conversation Christian and I had recently was, what if you didn't get a full-time job? Where would you be? And where would the company be? I would have to be further along right now, because I would have to be hustling to feed myself, to find clients. And so there's a catch-22. I mean, at the flip side of that, I'd also tell you some of my thought process is, with the coronavirus right now, in my head, if I'm being perfectly honest, is, damn, I'm glad I got a job that's safe, that I'm still able to work from home and getting paid on, because if I wasn't, where the hell would I be right now?
Working your ass off trying to get Alchemy Fit off the ground. That's what you'd be doing.
Yeah, I mean, I would be, but my point would be it'd be even more difficult. But I will say, the last thing I'll say is, I have used this time to kind of be more introspective of what I enjoy doing. I do not miss the training aspect of Alchemy Fit. I do not miss driving to the gym 4 or 5 days a week and training clients and working full time. I don't miss it. I really don't. I miss the income part of it. I miss the people, because I care about the people. But the physical part of training, I don't really miss it. What I enjoy and where I'm at is kind of going back to what Christian was talking about, his mindset. Like, I actually would like to see Alchemy Fit, and this is something I've just been thinking about the last 48 hours. Christian, I don't even, you and I have talked about yet, is I'd like to see Alchemy Fit move into more of a, I don't want to say motivational, but like helping people get off your ass. Like, maybe I'm not in the gym. Like, I'm writing programs for people online right now, and doing videos for them. I like that more. Like, hey, here it is. You do your workout. I don't need to physically be there overseeing you do it. Maybe I'll still do it here once in a while for people locally, but I'd like to see Alchemy Fit move towards more that, where it's more nutrition and saying, hey, I can do the workouts too, but I'm not physically going to the gym and training people as much as I have been.
I mean, I'm going to get fired up, fellas. I mean, I've Dupstadt knows I've said this before, breast milk milkshake. He knows, and like, he's heard this, but I got to say it. It's important for everybody to say, there's a few key points. One is, we all know what's best, but we still don't do it, right? It's procrastination or fear of success or fear of failure, whatever the hell it is. We could know what's best, but there's a reason why we don't do it. What we're trying to achieve, each and every one of us, is has a like has a very, very low success rate. I mean, the chance of success as an entrepreneur is like slim to none. So we have to exhibit behavior. we, would you stop drinking?
I ran before this thing started. I'm trying to replenish.
We have to exhibit behavior that is indicative of someone who deserves that, right? Like, and I'm speaking for myself as well. I'm not on my high horse because, I mean, you know, like the videos. I mean, I had to create an accountability group for my videos because I'm like, you know what? I thought it was going to be so much further along. And I know it's what's best for my business. I know if I get this content out, it's going to help my business out. But still, for some reason, I choose not to do it. But it's normal. So where my mind tends to go is the question I'm trying to answer as a coach is how do we get through to people that can see the trap but still fall into the trap? It's no different than how do you get through to a teenager or a 20-year-old or whatever who you can tell them the right answers, but they still have to fail for themselves. Can we skip some steps? And that's what's hard. So like a lot of what you're saying, Dupstadt, is very common, and you're falling into the classic traps. Like as soon as you start seeing success, you're worrying about what the next thing is or what it needs to be. No, you have clients, like you're worrying about the things that truly are not that important. And they feel like distractions for what's really important, for what you're trying to do. So I say that not being on my high horse because I struggle the same struggles as you do. But the reality is like, what if you could? Like, what if you could switch it? And like, and what we have to ask ourselves is like, well, what can we do differently? If we really feel like we want to become entrepreneurs, we want to be successful, and we really feel like these are the activities that need to happen, what do we have to do differently to be able to execute? Because that's all that matters is if you can execute more.
And what you just said reminds me, isn't there a quote? I don't know who it is or who said it that, you know, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and and what you were saying, that's a quote that came to mind right now. And it's crazy. I mean, if you knew you couldn't fail, like what would I be doing right now? You know,
Yeah.
if I knew I could make this my full-time job and I could build a company out of this and end up having coaches underneath me and hundreds of clients, why can't I? You know, it's again, I think we're our own worst enemies, and it goes back to mindset. It really goes back to mindset.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, Brad, like I think right now is probably the best time than ever because there's so many people that have the time to, first of all, there's more people cooking and eating at home.
Mm-hmm.
So there's less temptation for folks.
His business is perfect.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's less temptation for people to go out and eat for the most part. And, you know, they can be working out from home. So, I mean, like, I would say that if there was a window of opportunity, I mean, now's got to be it.
Yeah, it's a good point. All good points. You're absolutely right.
So the one trap I do want to point out that I feel like you're falling into is you're playing this guessing game of why things aren't working or what's going to happen or what's not going to happen. And what I really urge the people I work with to do is create objective measures, right? Like the data tells the story. You don't have enough data. That's the first problem is you don't have enough data. But the data you do have actually tells a different story than you're telling. So if I were to say, how many people have you come across that when you explain what you do or that express interest that you close, that's a high close percentage. It's not like you're talking to a bunch of people and they're saying, I'm not interested. You're getting people who are coming to you and you're not doing anything, right? I don't want to say you're not doing anything, but it's really organically happening.
I just had one last night on Facebook Messenger. A woman, I have no clue who she is, somehow got my name. Yeah, so I occasionally, but again, I do no advertising, no marketing. Again, I treat it like a hobby, and I need to stop treating it like a hobby and treat it like a business. And to your point, have benchmarks or have things that I'm trying to get to and start treating it that way. And I think once I do that, again, mindset, once my mindset shifts, that says, you know what, I am an entrepreneur. I do have a business and I'm going to make this thing go forward. I think that's when I will actually start to see traction, because right now I can tell you that's not my mindset. And so until I get to that point and I believe it, I'm going to continue to struggle. I'm
Yep.
going to.
Yeah, Brad. And I mean, I would say that it's still, it's something that you have to struggle with daily, you know, that you have to deal with daily.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say struggle because it's not always a struggle, but and just take it from me. Like, you know, I have my YouTube channel has been doing extremely well over the last several weeks, but throughout those last several weeks, there still have been days where I'm like, I don't feel like putting a video out. I mean, and my YouTube channel is rocking, so I should be motivated to just keep going, right? But there's times where you're just like, I don't know what it is. I just feel, you know, drawn out. I just don't feel like doing it, and I think there's some parallels there, with you and how you feel about, you know, I know that there's genuine interest, but I just haven't been able to push myself to get there, because I think that if you start to push yourself, I think you'll be surprised about the kind of reactions you'll get, and how it'll affect you and your business. Because and I go back to ask myself this too, like, what if I didn't decide to put out a video on this specific day about this specific topic? I would have missed out on a 10,000 view video, which I've had multiple of since then. And it's like, man, if I didn't do that, I would have missed out on that huge opportunities. And then, I mean, and it's been incredible. I've gained over 2,000 subscribers over the last couple of weeks, and it's been awesome. And it's like, I ask myself now, hindsight's 2020, right? And I'm like, man, if I didn't do that, I could have missed out on all that huge opportunity. And I think just from me speaking to you, I have, you know, that's something that I deal with every day, is just pushing myself to get motivated on things that maybe I just don't feel like it. And all of a sudden you finally get that motivation to keep going. But
there's no doubt about it. And actually, I've thought about at least two different things that, you know, when we're done tonight, I'm going to write down that I'm going to commit to doing. I'm going to commit to doing them. Even if I don't feel like doing it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get done. And you know, just talking to you, the two of you guys is good for me personally, in that, like, I need to move this forward. It's time. You know, it's time. I didn't come into our conversation tonight even thinking I was going to get to this place or get to where we're at right now. But
that's what the Barcast does.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. It's time for me to start treating this like a business and start creating some things. You know, Christian, you know, at one point, I think January, you know, New Year, like, hey, you know, here's what I'm looking at, or this is going to be the goal for Alchemy Fit this year, as far as this is how many nutrition clients, this is how much, you know, I like to do in business, I did all that. I couldn't tell you what those numbers were. I couldn't tell you. It was more of a, hey, I did it. I checked it off. There's no follow through. And so it's really going to be for me creating tangible things that I'm going to commit to on a weekly basis, and then making sure they get done, regardless of where that means. I'm not a short-term success kind of guy, but I also know that if you do the work, good results typically happen. You just got to do the work.
Yeah.
And I haven't. If I'm honest and being perfectly frank, I haven't been doing the work. I've been very lazy with it.
Incremental wins, baby. Like, the end doesn't matter.
Right.
Right. Like, you know where you're aiming. You've got that. You've got the target. You can shift along the way, but now that you know where you're aiming, I mean, literally, it's just about putting your head down and doing little things. People focus on like the big. No, it's the little. It's, all right, I have to create this form. Okay, cool. All right, I got to reach out to 50 people this week, right? And like, just get focused on that and work on the process and enjoy developing the skills, things like that. And so one thing I will say for you is, I think you need some form of accountability, and maybe one day you'll get there where it's like you don't need it. But I think all of us, in some sense, we need accountability, because motivation ebbs and flows, right? And so to have somebody there to hold you accountable, it's what I find myself doing a lot of my job, is more accountability than anything else. When you have that, It allows you to sort of like somebody to keep track of you until you're off to the races. And then there just comes a point when you can just roll. But where that comes from, it comes from the way our education system is set up. You got to remember, like, the way entrepreneurship is laid out is at odds with the way that our education system is set up, which I don't prefer it, but it's the reality is we are treated to just do what you're told, take orders, don't, we're almost like robots. And if we don't have that, somebody like lighting a fire under our ass, then we struggle. So I'm not saying you don't have that at all, but I think some of that is where it comes from. We're like, I know if I tell you to do something, Brad, it's going to get done. If I'm like, hey, can you do this for me? Or if I ask you to do something, it's going to get done. The question becomes, well, how do you get yourself to do the task? Like, you'll do it if anybody else asks you, but when you ask yourself to do it, it doesn't even matter why. If you recognize that, in the meantime, you need to put a control in place to mitigate that in the meantime, which I think is an accountability, which could either be myself, it could be, Brad, your girlfriend, whoever it is, it could be whatever, but it's recognizing that and understanding you need to do it.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. It's interesting. One of my thought processes there is, when you were saying that, was I have no problem, when I'm working or when I'm not working, getting up at 4:45 a.m. and getting a workout in before I have to go to work. I have no problem motivating myself to get my workouts in, eat well, do whatever, when I'm not binging on sugar, that is. But I do. I motivate myself in those regards very well. But I think I've failed to realize that, like, I still need accountability in other parts of my life. And business is certainly one of them.
Do you know why you motivate yourself to do that? Because I'm going to tell you why if you don't know why.
Hot take coming.
Up, 60 seconds on the clock.
All right. No, give it to me.
My hunch is that because that was instilled in you, right? When we played football in high school, we had summer workouts. The schedule was built. You did every day. You went to college, you played sports. You just kept the ball rolling. And it's the same thing I'm saying. Is somebody provided you the framework, you built the habit, and then you just kept it going. And now you've got it under control because you motivate yourself, but you didn't start that.
That's
so
true.
It's the same idea when you think about it that way.
So
all right.
That's a great analogy, and I'm sure you're right to some extent. I've been able to keep that going, whereas I've never had a business habit. So I need to create a business habit, because I'm pretty sure, Christian, you know me well, Brad, and you're starting to figure me out pretty well. I'm very structured. I'm very organized. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. That's period. It's going to get done. So yeah, I just need accountability, probably on a little bit of direction, I think, for me, because I do feel like I'm really there are things I know I can do, but what do I really need to focus on to get me where I want to go? And I think that's a conversation that I'll probably have relatively soon. You're probably blowing up tomorrow, Christian, because that'll be a call.
You asked for it, Christian.
Yeah, here we go, buddy. No, because I'm very task oriented. I'm very task focused, and if I know I have tasks, damn it, they're going to get done, and they're going to get done well. So I think for me, creating that habit, creating those tasks, what do they say? 66 days, give or take, to create a new habit. So I'll just maybe throw that on with my 75 hard. I got how many days left on that? Hopefully by the end of that, I'm no sugar and I'm business motivated. That's the plan. End of June, baby.
That's awesome.
I have two tasks for you. And I know we don't have a ton of people, but I still think we should open up the phone lines because I want to know what they think. With that said, one is I urge you to find accountability. And obviously, for my boo, I'll do anything. So if you need it to be me, it'll be me. But remember that even your response, if you listen to the response you said, like, I just have to create a new habit, right? Like, you're not even, I know you're not intending to do it, but what your words are saying is like, you need to do it. And my point to you was, somebody got you off the ground and you picked the ball up from what they handed to you. So I would urge you to find somebody who could give you the framework or work with you on the framework, or at least hold you accountable to a framework. You don't have to do this alone. One. Second point I would like to make is I really think you should, in addition to try to just accomplish those small incremental wins, I think you should start reaching out to entrepreneurs or business owners
Yeah.
and like shooting the shit with them, because I think that's going to inspire you, motivate you. But I also have a hunch you'll realize that they're more like you than not like you. And that, in a way, will give you confidence. That's my hunch. So I don't know. So I think you could also do that just to kind of like you draw inspiration when you talk to people who are where you want to be or going through the same things you're going through.
I wrote both of them down, man. I appreciate it. I think they're both good. I think they're solid pieces of advice, and the accountability piece for me is huge. And for me, just like you said, networking, I think, is going to be a big part, because you know me, this coronavirus thing, I hear people all the time like, oh, I'm stuck and cooped in my house. Don't bother me a bit, man. I'm cool in my house. I got a gym in my basement. I'll work here all day. Like, I don't need to go out and talk to people. Like, you're probably the first two people I've talked to in I don't know how long, outside of my son and my ex. So I do need to expand and network, and I think part of that is doing that.
Everybody's busting my balls on YouTube. You think I'm trying to pitch you? You've been the client. You've been a client of mine for a year and a half. Charging $3.99 for your lane.
It's been mutual.
Yes, it's been a mutually beneficial relationship. While I have while you answer the next question I have, Brad, can we give the number in case anybody wants to call?
Already did.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's in the comments.
Okay.
I don't know what they're going to call about, but they can ask a question. They can ask a question about the Barcast. They can ask
they have advice.
Dupstadt or advice. Yeah, advice is good. Whatever you want to call about, but yeah, we'll see.
So call in and Brad will loop you into the discussion. Hey, listen, or you could just celebrate with us if you have a toast, whatever. We it's a big family, so it's us three and 10 others.
I love it.
So I did this with Chuck, and I kind of like doing this from the Zoom perspective. How can we help you? Like, so do you have questions that we can answer for you, or things that are on your mind or insight that we could offer you? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
no, I think the last 15 minutes we've been talking about that. I mean, I think that really, for me, is, I keep going back to mindset, man. The last 4 months, everything we do in life comes back to how you view it and what your mindset is. You know, how you approach everything you do is mindset. And for me, I've been running this company like a hobby. I don't to my core right now feel like I have a business or that I'm an entrepreneur. And until I feel like I am, it's not going to be what I want it to be, period. And so for me, it comes back to, I think a little bit of kicking the butt today or tonight here on with you two has been good for me. I think it has been good for me.
Sorry, we blindsided you.
No, that's all right. It's entrapment, but it's all right.
Entrapment. Listen, I thought it was a good topic to talk about, only because you're not the like I said, you're not the outlier. I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs that have run into the same issue of just pushing the start button.
Well, and I guess one thing I would say is, both of you guys left, we'll call it corporate jobs. Can you speak to a little bit, and I'm sure you guys have done this on the Barcast, before, but from my own personal knowledge, and more specifically for Brad, Christian, I know a little bit more about your background, but what did you have built? Or what did you have when you said, you know what, this is what I'm going to do full time? Were you quote unquote comfortable moving into that, or was there obviously a lot of risk? And I'm looking at more from a financial perspective.
Absolutely. It was uncomfortable. Yeah. I will tell you that I am exactly like you. I'll say I was exactly like you, and that's why one of the reasons why I brought this up and kind of wanted to get what your thought process was. For me, it was a little bit different, and maybe maybe in certain ways is a little bit of the same. I was afraid of failure, not because I was afraid to fail. I was afraid of what people would think of me if I did fail. And I was always afraid of that, and especially being on YouTube, like people are not kind. There's a lot of not kind people. I should say there's a lot of people who are very kind and really supportive from a public standpoint. But then there's also the family side of things. Like, and I still get that a lot of times. There's still a lot of people in my family that are like, "Oh, you still doing that YouTube thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, still doing the thing." But I've learned since then that it's not about them. And I mean, who gives a shit what they think? It's what makes you happy, and what makes you feel motivated and gives you purpose. When I worked for T. Rowe Price, I was it was a really great job, and people thought I was nuts when I left because of I was in. I could stay there for the rest of my working career, my working life, and I would be fine. I'd be set. I could retire and live a good life with and be able to support a family and everything. And I let all that go to chase this dream, and I wouldn't go back and change a thing at this point.
Yeah, it's interesting when you talk about fear. I've never had a fear of what other people thought of me. I mean, high school, you probably do a little bit, but I've never had an issue. I'm very confident in who I am as an individual and who I am as a person and what I stand for. I always tell people I sleep very well. I go to bed every night, my head hits the pillow, and it's like a hibernating bear every single night. And I think part of it's because I'm very comfortable with who I am and what I stand for. So for me, it was never a fear of what other people thought. For me, it's always been a fear, and I don't even call it a fear. It's the self-doubt in myself, like that I can't do it. And so almost paralyzing myself to the point to want to take the step because I don't think I can.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's my biggest issue and continues to be my biggest issue is to let that go, let that fear of success, look past that and say, again, who cares where you end up? Take the step, bet on yourself, and see where the chips fall. I did that a little bit. I mean, I did that a little bit when I left my corporate job, which was now a little bit over a year ago. Obviously, you still got to be able to pay your bills. I have a child, still be able to make sure I'm taking care of him. But what I think and what I hope is I hope that experience of a year ago, leaving the corporate job, I'm hoping that for my life and my journey, what that did for me was to prove to me that I can do it. So that the next time around, because for a month, I had a very, very difficult time even rationalizing in my head, how are you going to quit a cushy job with benefits and quit with nothing lined up? Nothing. I was visibly almost sick to the point where I was kind of almost shaking with anxiety the month leading into that before I finally said, you know what, I have to do this. I have to do it. The next time around, when that comes around, I'm going to be, it's going to be shit. You did it before, do it again. Not a problem. So I'm hoping that, again, that I'm able to look back and use that piece to move forward. So, no, I appreciate you sharing that, man. I think it's good to know. And I'm sure you and we're not the only people that have been there and gone through it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I mean, I would venture to say, too, that let's just say, for whatever reason, I can't do this anymore. I can't run WeTrade HQ. I can't be on YouTube anymore. And for whatever reason, I get forced into working a real job or going back to corporate America. I've learned so much about myself and what makes a good business good throughout this entire process, and have learned and grown so much as an individual that I know that if I went back to the corporate world, I could crush it. Yeah. Because of just everything, all the knowledge and experience that I've been able to gain throughout all of this. So it's like, if at worst case scenario, it ends up not working out, there's so much that you've been able to learn that you could go back and then and absolutely kill it.
And the other thing I think about, and I don't want to bogart time here, but the other thing I keep thinking about is think about all the people you are meeting along the way.
Yeah.
From a networking perspective, again, I go back to that. I mean, let's face it, it's people. I mean, we are, as human beings, I think we want to be connected. I think we all have that desire to want to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. Who knows what other opportunities lead to because you are running your business and the people you meet because you're running your business. You don't know what opportunities may even present 1, 2, 3, 10 years from now because you're doing that. Where, if you are at a desk at a cube, you're not out meeting people, you're not out pushing the envelope, you're not out. So I just think even just that piece of it is, I think you have so many more opportunities are going to present themselves because of the position you put yourself into.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, we got our first caller.
Oh, yeah.
Hola.
Oh.
How you guys doing?
What's going on? Who's this?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, this is one of your top fans. Great podcast. I've been enjoying it since you guys been having it on YouTube. Very informative.
Well, thank you very much.
I'm learning
Appreciate
a lot. You guys really. I'm looking for. One thing I'm looking forward to though is it's informative today. But one thing I'm looking forward to really is you guys getting back to the bars and that Jack, man.
Listen, I brought the Jack to you.
Okay. All right, but hey, man, I appreciate you guys. Keep doing your thing.
All right, thanks so much.
This is Remo Caribe. Gracias.
De nada.
Bye.
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 Que tengan buen día.
Perfect. That was awesome. That reminded me of what is that? What's that show on ESPN? Stugatz.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Highly questionable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's highly questionable.
What his dad always calls in.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Well, I think that's perfect. A perfect ending to the Barcast here, man. I mean, I really appreciate you opening yourself up to us. Just picking your brain on what it is that you're going through, because. And I really do feel, Brad, that it's just going to be one of those things where people can really resonate with. And it might, I think it probably opened you up to be a little bit vulnerable with us. And I do appreciate that. But I think that it's just super important because there's so many other people that are going through this and it doesn't get talked about. And I think that that's what makes us and the show unique. So I really do appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys having me on. Like I said, I didn't even realize I was going to be on a live show until earlier this morning. So I thought we were just going to be shooting the shit, the three of us. So it's good. and I'm glad to come out of this feeling motivated. So for me, I thank you guys for being honest and giving me open feedback. I mean, I think that's part of the two-way communication is making sure that if I'm going to be sharing what I'm sharing and you guys are giving me feedback, I mean, I want to be able to apply that and take that and use it. So thank you guys. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll toast to that.
Let's do it.
Everybody raise your glass. All right.
Raise your breast milk.
Alan's busting my chops over here. Oh, Alan said he's going to call. He didn't call.
Oh, that's all right.
Call next time, Alan.
Next time, buddy.
5:30.
All right.
Got my snazzy green mug.
It's the same color as Chuck's headphones that we discovered last week.
Shout out to Seagar.
I have my son's Dave and Buster. Again, this is my 9-year-old son's Dave and Buster shot glass. I had a note come home with this last summer that, sorry, he got this at Dave and Buster's. We didn't know he got it.
That's hilarious. All right, I'll go first since mine's always inappropriate and Googled.
Yep, agreed.
May our penises always be harder than our lives.
I couldn't agree more. Cheers,
You guys are, man. I gotta get more on the comical side of myself. I'm too serious.
All right, Dupstadt, what do you got, buddy?
Man, I just try to put some thoughts together. Man, I don't even want to say this now. As you guys know, I am on a journey right now of just trying to become the best version of myself, mentally, physically, emotionally, and now from a business perspective as well. So here's the recognizing every starting point begins with a decision. Make the decision now to be better tomorrow than you were today.
I love it. Cheers.
Cheers.
We need a little levity.
Nonsense.
Top rope. Is everybody ready?
Let's do it.
Alan's lighting everybody up.
He really is.
Brad Dupstadt, Alan said in the comments, you'll be saying that at 54.
I'm sure.
I came with a toast, but through our conversations, in light of my friend here, on the fly, I came up with a new one. So I apologize I wasn't paying attention to the camera, but I was creating content, people. I was creating content. So without further ado, my toast. Whew. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Cheers.
Now?
Yes.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. When you become your own boss, you'll likely be fried. Alchemy Fits got you with their free mustache ride.
I'll drink to that. Cheers,
That was
guys.
good. Oh, that was good.
That's hilarious. That's so awesome. All right.
Bro.
With that being said, Brad, thanks again so much for being on, and thanks for you guys who are out there watching us. I appreciate it. I know there's not too many people watching, but if there's anybody goes back and watch this, this is what makes starting out a YouTube channel or podcast, in the beginning so small. It's what makes it great. We got people that are supporting us, and it's so awesome. So if you could just show us some love, give us a thumbs up, and come back and watch us next Thursday, 5:30 p.m.
We won't forget these 9.
That's
10.
right. That's right.
When there's 900, 9,000, we'll remember our OG 9. So next week, I want Thursday at 5:30. I want our people to come with toast. So I want people to call in with their toast.
Let's do it.
Bring the game. So
Bring the people's toast back.
we're gonna bring it back next week. We love you guys, and remember, if you don't drink Jack,
You're an ass. See you guys.
later.